Hello friends, and welcome back to We Like Psych. Today's episode is all about social learning theory. Social learning theory, as posited by Albert Bandura, tells us that behavior is learned from observing those around us. He gives us this gift and concept of observational learning. Observational learning basically tells us that we, as children or people or whoever, are always looking at the people around us, and the people that we're looking at are called models. Models can be any human in our environment. People on the TV, your parents, your grandparents, your friends. These models provide examples of behavior that we can observe, learn, and in turn imitate. For example, the people in your life, like your parents or your grandparents, could model concepts such as femininity or masculinity, or a social person versus an antisocial person. When children pay attention to those around them, they start to encode these behaviors that they're observing, and at a later time, likely imitate the behavior that they saw modeled for them. For example, children are more likely to imitate the behavior of models that they share some kind of commonality with. A quick example is that a child who has a model of the same gender is likely going to imitate that person than someone of the opposite gender. Secondly, the models around that child will respond to the behavior that is imitated with either a positive or negative reinforcement or punishment. If a child imitates their mother cleaning up something and making it spick and span and spotless, and they get a reward for cleaning without being asked, just based on the behavior that they saw modeled for them, they're probably going to do it again because they received a positive reinforcement. And because it has been reinforced, the behavior is then strengthened. Reinforcement can be external, internal, positive, negative, but the important factor about positive or negative reinforcement is that it will usually lead to a change in that person's behavior. Bandura famously conducted an experiment entitled the Bobo doll experiment that gives us a little insight on what observational learning looks like. I have a couple of links that I'll leave in the description box that go in a lot more detail about the Bobo doll experiment and about what Bandura had to say about it and his results. But in short, he had children observe adults interacting with a Bobo doll. If you don't know what a Bobo doll is, it's kind of a weird little clown thing that when you push it or hit it, it'll kind of wobble around, but it never falls. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. That might be kind of a dated joke. Anywho, there were different children paired with different adult models. Some of the adults would come in and they'd be sweet to the Bobo doll. They'd hug it, tell it they loved it, compliment it, and be very caring and nurturing. While other adults would punch it and call it mean names and just keep punching it, and every time it came back up would just keep hitting it and be really negative and aggressive toward the Bobo doll. And then the children were brought in to interact with the Bobo doll. The children who saw people be sweet and kind to the Bobo doll imitated this behavior, and the children who witnessed the aggression acted in the same way as their adult models did. Now, that's kind of the short little explanation of what social learning theory is, according to Albert Bandura, and why observational learning is such an important thing, especially in the development of children and their behaviors. Now, the biggest difference between Bandura's social learning and behaviorists like B.F. Skinner or John Watson is that Bandura believed that humans are active information processors. So behaviorists say that there is a stimuli and a response, and nothing in between. Whereas Bandura said, maybe not. Maybe because we're always processing information, there's something else that goes on in between. And that something in between, according to Bandura, children are thinking about the relationship between their behavior and the consequences that come as a result of that behavior. So, that means that observational learning wouldn't happen unless cognitive processes were at work. So kids wouldn't copy the adults they see if their little brains weren't thinking about why those adults were doing it in the first place. Make sense? So another way to look at it is that individuals don't just blatantly copy whatever they see the first time they see it. There's some thought prior to whether or not they should imitate it. What's in it for me if I imitate it? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? I don't know. There's decision making in the process, which is the major difference between the behaviorist approach, which says, there is a stimulus, there is a response. That is it. Bandura calls that middle part, the thinking about why, should I do it, am I gonna do it, what do I get out of it if I do it, the mediation process. There are 4 mediational processes according to Bandura. The first is attention. Attention is the extent to which we are exposed to or notice the behavior. So how long you're seeing somebody beat up a Bobo doll, or how long you're seeing somebody be sweet to a teddy bear. For behavior to be imitated, we actually have to see it going on. It has to grab our attention, and it has to be for long enough that it sticks with us to contemplate whether or not we're going to imitate. The second is retention. Retention is how well that behavior that caught our attention is remembered. Did it stick? Did we retain it? Did it stay in our little brain enough for us to keep thinking about it? We'll see. The third is reproduction. This is the ability to perform the behavior that was modeled for us. Fourth and finally is motivation. This is the will to perform that behavior, the behavior that caught our attention, that we retained in our little brains, that we would like to reproduce, and now the motivation to actually reproduce it. So what is our motivation? Is it a positive comment from cuddling our teddy bear, or is a negative punishment for punching that Bobo doll and being aggressive? Basically, in short, the motivation is, what's in it for me if I reproduce this behavior that I observed? Will I get candy for cleaning my room? Or will I get time out for being aggressive with my friends? To cap it all off, social learning theory isn't the full explanation of why people do the things they do. The study of psychology wouldn't exist if that was it. There's so many schools of thought and so many different things. But Albert Bandura gave us a pretty good addition to the behaviorist school of thought when it comes to why we do the things that we do. It can explain some pretty complex behavior. Why boys tend to be aggressive, why girls tend to apologize too much, things like that. There are even some criticisms to social learning theory, especially the part of the theory that focuses so much on the environment as the chief influence on why we do what we do. Therein lies that ever-present nature versus nurture debate. Another criticism of social learning theory are the cases where children and people don't really have models around them to imitate said behavior that's modeled for them. All in all, it's still a great tool, it's still a great theory, and that's why we're still learning about it. There is some truth to it, but again, it's just a theory. I hope this video has been helpful, that it cleared up some things, or made things a little easier to understand, or was just interesting for you to watch. Let me know down in the comments if there's another theory or concept that you'd like to learn about, and I'll make that video as soon as possible and get it up here on the channel. In the meantime, leave me a like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do. And I'll see you in our next episode of We Like Psych. Bye!